Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything Wrong with Season 5. The so-called series finale, in which case I think he means season finale as in the series of Yu-Gi-Oh! The original series finale. Considering there's another one after this. I don't know if he's doing GX, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Although I gotta admit, dude, that was a smooth
We finally made it to
intro.
Season 5. Before we start anything, I just want to say thank you to
Got there
Volta
before
Base for
Yu-Gi-Oh!
the intro you
Abridged.
just saw. A link for his Twitter will be in the description below. Season 5 is like Season
probably easy
3
for
in that
making
it is
sense.
split up into two parts. The part that people actually care about, and then the shitty filler that comes beforehand that we have to sit through.
At least again,
Each
kind of a
passing
pretty
filler will
badass
get
moment
more and
against
more
Siegfried.
boring and worse, barring Season 4, because at least they tried to do some interesting things, even though they did fall completely on their face for a lot of it. Like previous fillers, there is a noticeable drop in the animation quality. The Kaiba Grand Prix is where most of the screenshots you'll see of the really shitty animations come from. Characters just look like they're melting, proportions are all off, no one is on model, it's a mess, to say the least. I'd speculate they probably had no time or budget to make this season because a lot of things are just reused. There's tons of reused shots of characters placing cards either on their dual disc or pulling them from their deck, but you can tell that they're reused because you can see some of the cards and they don't match what it eventually shows that they drew or placed onto the field. New cards are just recolored old cards, like Ruby Dragon is just Luster Dragon, but they
red
put a red
and
filter
green.
over it. Like with Mai in Season 4, Mokuba has been recasted, and for some reason I'm guessing they told Carrie Keranin to sound like an 8-year-old who smokes 12 packs a day.
The Kaiba Corp dual system has access. Why don't you try over the hard
The beauty of this filler is that you could watch it in ×2 speed and miss absolutely nothing because nothing happens in this whole fucking thing.
Yeah, it's
Season 5 picks
filler.
up where 4 left off. Kaiba Corp's reputation is in ruin and their stocks are down due to the whole darts incident because for some
At least
reason
they
people
acknowledge
thought
Season
that
4.
holograms became solid mass and they were attacking everything, and this is Kaiba Corp's fault, so he decides to host
At least
a
they
tournament
tried
in
it.
his
At
new
least
open
more
Kaiba land,
can
drum up
than,
some hype
you know,
for
the
his
VR
company, where people will have
arc.
the shot to take the title away from Yugi. In the original Japanese version, the Kaiba Grand Prix was hosted in America, which is why Rex and Weevil are wandering around because they aren't able to get back to Japan after the end of Season 4. But in the dub, they make it so they're trying to sneak into the competition. They decided to give Taya this gag line throughout the whole arc that she says
I
at
need
least
some
once or
female
twice an
friends.
episode of, I need some girlfriends. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense in the context of what they're doing, but they just throw it in anyway, so I'm assuming that's just an English translation thing that they shoved in, trying to make
give
it
her a
comedic maybe.
catchphrase.
As is tradition with all these fillers, of course the gang has to fight the
Five-headed dragon.
because we can't fucking escape this stupid monster. After they defeat it, they move on to the entrance ceremony.
That's it. If
where
I
they
ever fight
introduce all
Sith
the
in real life,
characters that will
I'm
instantly
fucking
get
summoning
removed
Five-Headed
in about 1 or
Dragon.
2 episodes. The only ones that actually have
Waking
any
the dragon
importance
or
are the
something.
guy that's clearly the villain, Siegfried, and Chun-Li. Just another case
Evil?
of
You
missed
never said
potential where
fit
they had
Chun-Li.
characters that could
Straight
have had
up.
interesting interactions with the
Yeah,
main group.
possibly.
Like the doctor where he has his nurses pat his head down for sweat while he's shuffling the cards. Little things like these that could just make the season more memorable because it really doesn't have anything to it.
Plus,
It
half
really
these
feels
characters
like a
are just
retread
forgettable.
of Duelist Kingdom and Battle City
get
combined, where you
into it.
introduce these characters that could possibly be interesting,
But
and
then
make
they're
the
not.
season memorable and have fans latch onto, but then you don't do anything with them.
Yeah,
like
really.
there's a reason why Weevil, Rex, and Esperoba are dual events in Duel Links. I doubt we'll ever get one for Doctor Man or guy with monkey on his shoulder.
Unless
Another
they get
tradition with Yu-Gi-Oh!
really
fillers and 4
desperate.
Kids dubs, they decided to give the main villain an awful accent, just like they did with Dan from Bakugan in the last season.
Oh,
Take
jeez.
some ease. I won't even break a sweat on you.
Amazingly
I've heard
enough, the
worse.
show actually teaches you some actual rules about the game.
Like chain links.
Card played in a turn always activates first, so the first card has no effect on the
I
last
love how
card
Joey
you
gets just
play
flabbergasted by this. Just like,
Apparently,
yeah, that's me
characters decided
sometimes.
this
How
was
the
too
fuck?
risque and removed the pill from Ultra Evolution. All of
Because
Siegfried's
drugs.
goddesses look like they're straight out of a how-to-draw anime.
They probably
Which doesn't
are.
To have anything to talk about. This takes all of the bad aspects of every single filler we've covered so far, and then puts them all together to make one big shit sandwich. It has the unnecessary bloatedness of capsule monsters. It has the overarching plot of someone trying to take
Is
away
it so bad
Kaiba's
it's good,
business,
though?
which has happened in pretty much every single filler in some way, shape, or form. Having someone from Kaiba's past to fuck with him. Retardedly overpowered cards that the main villain has, it just keeps
Which get
adding on
printed
effects as it
somehow.
goes, like in Season 4. Siegfried's whole motivation to try to ruin the Kaiba Corporation and fuck with Kaiba is because he was always second best to Kaiba growing up. Kaiba beat him to the punch to everything he ever tried to do. The holographic
I love how they both
systems,
been to
game
holograms at the
company.
same time,
I always felt
though.
he was living in his shadow, which isn't a bad plot line to have by
It
itself.
isn't.
But it's not really anything new we haven't seen already at this point. But we did get some nice character moments from Kaiba's point of
Noah.
view. Like when he's being confronted by Siegfried in front of the crowd, and Siegfried's accusing him of being a cheater. Kaiba goes off about how the reason why he has everything that he does is through hard work and determination.
I've
While
never
they are
stolen
nice and I
anything
do
in
like
my
them,
life.
It does seem kind of repetitive because
you
they just keep
stole Grandpa's
reaffirming this
blue eyes
in
and
every
stuff.
single filler, and even in the main story for Season 1 and parts of 2. Then Siegfried reveals that the kid
You
that's
have
been
stolen
following Yugi and the gang all along has been his brother, and that
Dun, dun,
Siegfried
dun!
wasn't really the person that they should be afraid of, it's Leon. And Siegfried was just a distraction to keep them all busy. The thing I haven't mentioned, though, is that Leon doesn't have the same goofy accent that Siegfried has had the whole show.
It's like
pretty
Dexter's
obvious that they
lab.
did
Why
this
does Dexter have
because
a
they didn't
giant
want it to
thick
be a
accent and
dead
no one in his
giveaway,
family
which
does?
leads me to going, well, why did they give Siegfried this accent to begin with then? The excuse or reason you could use for why Leon doesn't have the accent, you could probably go, oh, that's
He's
because
adopted.
Leon was separated from the family and lived on his own
Or
for a
that.
bit. But then even in the flashbacks, you see that he didn't have the accent then, and all of his family did. So that doesn't explain why he wouldn't, other than the fact that he can't have it so the twist wouldn't reveal itself early. Just like how Siegfried's hair is darker in all the flashbacks. That looks way closer to Leon's color of hair. In the present day, Siegfried's hair is pink, but it's more of a darker red maroon shade in all the flashbacks.
He dyed his
And
hair?
Siegfried reveals his plan is that Leon is going to defeat Yugi and take the title of King of Games, which would somehow wipe out Kaiba Corp so that the Schrodinger company, which is their company, would
even
be
though
able to
Kaiba
move in
doesn't
and become the
survive
number
through
one
King of
company
Games
in the world with
because
their new games
Kaiba
that
is
he's
only
going
in
to
second
show
place
off
in
after
Ford.
he wins, which he expects to eclipse Duel Monsters, even though Duel Monsters is so big.
It's
it used
the
an entire season
world!
to host a tournament, and in a few years, it's going to have its own Duel Academy Island.
Yeah!
And its own racing sport where they
Yes.
play on motorcycles. He honestly
Yu-Gi-Oh!
thinks just because he shows
is
it off
the
here, that
world
means
of
it's automatically
Yu-Gi-Oh!
going to be successful.
The
And Kaiba
world
thinks
might
this
as
is
well
so
be a
fucking
card
stupid that he just
itself.
laughs in his face, and everyone's kind of taken aback by it. It's great. His whole evil speech about how he's cheating is even televised, and
a
people
live
can see that. Why the fuck
broadcast.
would you ever trust this person and buy his products? It's like if Gearbox challenged Blizzard with their team of rejects that play Battleborn against the world champions of Overwatch, and if they somehow beat them, then they'd be the sole controller of
Hey, I'd
the
watch that.
team-based FPS market. And then Randy Pitchford comes out on stage and is like, "Hey guys, don't forget to buy Battleborn. We definitely didn't steal money from all of our licensed games to make it like we did with Borderlands 2.
Oh,
Duke
boy.
Nuka who? Aliens Colonial what?" I'd understand this more if Siegfried was kind of like Darts, where he just comes off like a crazed lunatic that's just trying to do some crazy bullshit, but up
And
until
he's
now,
kinda
he's
crazy.
played as some sort of methodical character that plots out all of these certain things, and he's got this all thought out with this grand plan and how he's going to take over this company. And then it's revealed, wait, he's just a fucking idiot. And this doesn't feel intentional. It feels like we're supposed to still think
It does
that he's
give
some
Yugi
sort
one
of
badass
all-powerful
moment of, like,
genius,
he can't
judging
have
from
half his
everyone
deck 'cause
else's
there's only one
reactions,
card
barring
left.
Kaiba. But then he reveals that he has the bestest card ever that he snuck in with all the distractions and hacked it to give it all these broken powers. There's absolutely no way Yugi could ever win. It's basically the same thing with the Seal of Orichalcos Deuteros in Season 4, where Darts just added a billion fucking effects over and over again. So Siegfried programmed the Golden Castle to, during each standby phase, require you to send half your deck to the graveyard, be able to special summon one level 4 monster a turn. All monsters special summoned by this card and all of your opponent's monsters must attack if they're able to, and when your opponent declares an attack, the monster is destroyed and half of its attack is dealt to their life points. And this card cannot be destroyed or affected by monsters, spells, or traps. And the
It's a
discarding
long
half your
effect.
deck effect is required to be paid by the opponent. So each turn, Yugi's having to discard half his deck. He also mentions that the castle's programmed to unleash a virus that deletes everything Kaiba's ever had for his
I
company.
think
And the only
Nirvana
way to stop it is by
Hypodon is
destroying
looking
the
at this
castle.
guy
All
like,
scene
dude, is that
lost
enough
due to the
effects?
super contrived plot device power card. But then Yugi
Or the
pulls it
new
out of his ass by
Endemonium
going, "Well, I
cards."
thinned out my deck to only have one card, so now I can't discard.
I would
only
have
half
loved
of
it
one
if
card, so your
Siegfried
castle has to
ran
be
down
destroyed
and
because it
ripped
cannot
the
maintain
card in
its
half.
maintenance cost, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do like this.
Yeah, that
it
was a
feels
nice
really
thing.
reminiscent to how Yugi beat Slifer back in Season 2, where he made his opponent deck out. Now that the castle's finally
was through
destroyed,
bullshit, but
Yugi
still.
can defeat Leon. And then Siegfried runs over, cries, and apologizes that he jeopardized everybody's life with all of these crazy bullshit. And everyone just forgives him, and the day's saved, and everyone goes home. The end. Now we get to move on to the half of the
Now
season that everyone
people
actually
care
cares
about.
Dawn of the Duel. Dawn of the Duel is the final arc of Duel Monsters, split into two stories, the Pharaoh's Memory and the Ceremonial Battle. Compared to the last half, animation is vastly improved for the most part.
Well,
At times it really feels like they have two different keyframe artists working on a specific scene.
There's still a
especially when
budget.
they have the gang in the same shot as characters who are from Egypt. It's usually Joey or Yugi that look the most off model and really weirdly proportioned, like eyes are super spaced out or their head just looks malformed.
He looked like
I have to say,
Scooby-Doo
watching
character
the
in that
Pharaoh's
one.
Memory is some of the most fun I've had since the beginning on Duelist Kingdom. So good job, Season 5. You pulled it back. My biggest
Hooray!
complaint is definitely the fact that it keeps cutting away from the Pharaoh doing interesting stuff in his memories in Egypt to Yugi and the gang just walking around aimlessly with Egyptian Mr. Popo. Other than that,
Seriously.
my only other gripe is some of the plot points are just brushed away and explained with, it's Egyptian dark magic, don't worry
Yeah, he
about
never
it.
uses
Which
this
at this
again.
point, I should just accept that it's a part of the show, even if
Basically.
it doesn't consistently stay to its own rules and just adds in new things, where the Shadow Realm was like, oh, now I can control time in the Shadow Realm. Like, what? Why didn't Bakura use this when he was losing his duel back in Season 1? It really reminds me of JoJo, in which how some characters' powers just keep adding on as it goes along without
Yeah.
rhyme or reason. Topical at the time, for example, Giorno. Golden Experience just gets a ton of effects as the story goes along. None I'm going to spoil for any of the people who are just watching the
I
anime.
wouldn't know about
it
that,
really
I don't
feels like
watch
Araki
it.
had no idea what he wanted Golden Experience to do at first. So it's like, just add this and this and this. The beginning of this
Shit.
story starts out with Grandpa telling Yugi about how he got the Millennium Puzzle. Flashback Grandpa is actually voiced by Mark Darrison, who is the voice of Guts in the Berserk 1997 anime and the Golden Age trilogy. So while watching this, I just imagined Indiana Guts raiding the tombs of Egypt along with two Kushian soldiers. It's fantastic. What isn't fantastic, though, is all of the censorship in this episode, which
Oh,
is going
boy.
to set a precedent for how it's going to be for the rest of this arc.
Well, it's
To
ancient
give a few
Egypt.
examples of censorships in this episode, the toothpick that young Grandpa throws at the statue was actually a cigarette in the Japanese version.
Ah.
The guides assisting him are also carrying guns, which of course are removed, along
Naturally.
with how they force him to cross the bridges and then eventually
pointing a
shoot him
gun
in
at
the
him.
shoulder, which is why he falls off and hangs from the end,
Ah.
needing to be saved by the Pharaoh spirit. I'll be bringing up the censorships as we cover the story throughout the video. If you've been watching the show up until now, in the background through all of the mainline seasons, that being 1, 2, the second half of 3, and the second half of 5, Bakura has
So
been
the
trying to
important plot
collect all the
points.
Millennium items in order to return them to this stone tablet, for a reason that hasn't been revealed yet to the viewer. When being confronted by Yugi, he tells him to prepare for the ultimate shadow game that'll commence in Egypt. Then Bakura heads over to Kaiba Corp and challenges Kaiba
Hold
to a
on,
duel,
gotta
where
make
he
a
then
pit
uses
stop real quick.
polymerization to make a non-fusion monster. It's not even like they miscolored it in the English version when they changed the format
That's-
of the cards to remove the Japanese text.
This card doesn't
It's
exist in
also
real life
just
yet, though.
an effect monster
They'll probably
in the
make it
Japanese
someday.
version, so I don't really know what's going on here. The sun begins to come up and Bakura decides to end the duel here, giving Kaiba the Millennium Eye and
There might
telling
be
him
something to
meet
do with
him in
Elemental
Egypt if
Hero
he wants
and
any
Neo
answers
Bubble
to the
Man.
visions that he's seeing.
Like
It then
Pitch
cuts back to
Bubble Man,
Yugi
all
and the
that
gang
crap.
arriving in Egypt, where
Pitch
they meet with
Metamorphosis
Ishizu
of
and
Pitch Volley,
Merrick again.
whatever.
They reach the stone tablet that they originally saw back in Season 2 that was in the museum that told about the prophecy of the Pharaoh. Yugi holds up the 3 god cards to the tablet and the Pharaoh spirit gets sucked into it, along with the spirit of Yami Bakura, which has been hiding out in the puzzle since Season 3 Part 2. What's this? They're referencing things that happened previously and have an overarching plot point to the
You
show?
don't
Shocking.
say.
I know. We get some cool episodes where we get to see the origin of the Dark Magician and the origin of the Blue Eyes White Dragon,
I remember
introducing characters
Kisara.
like Mahad
Oh,
and
I only remember
Kisar, who
Kisara,
would later
though,
on
not-
become
I had
the
trouble
base
remembering
design and
Mahad.
inspiration for the Maiden with Eyes of Blue. We also get to see the full
And
extent of
Paladin
how
Oracle.
duels operated back in
that
ancient
was-
Egypt 5,000 years ago.
I think
Fights
that
pretty much
existed
play out
before
like
this did.
Digimon or Pokemon, where the person just sends out their monster,
But it's
which
fun-
is
but
tied
it's-
to their spirit.
but it's kinda more fun here because the actual card game
Since
didn't
they're more
exist yet.
simplistic battles in the sense they don't have magic or trap cards, there's no longer ass poles revolving those. Instead, you get shit like Yami
Yeah.
Bakura is now able to reverse time to a certain extent, or stop people just in their tracks with magic.
Or
which
copy
is,
Blue Eyes attack and stuff like that.
And it kind of leaves the watcher going, wait, how does all this work? Why does he able to turn back time?
Why does he
now?
able?
How is exactly going into the Pharaoh's memory going to affect the future? But then it reveals that they're not just in the Pharaoh's memory, they're taking part in a shadow game, the Dark
Which is
RPG,
actually a callback
and
to the
everybody in it is a
original
pawn to
manga.
each of the players, that being the Pharaoh and Yami Bakura. The Dark RPG feels like a really cool extension and built upon
It's like the
idea
RPG from season
having the
0.
cast be player pieces, like where they were the dual monsters back in season 1, where Yugi was the Dark Magician, Taya was the Magician of Faith, and so on. But this wouldn't be a fight between the Pharaoh and a main villain unless the main villain goes, well, since I'm actually running this game, I have all of these powers. And Yami Bakura pulls out 3 hourglasses and goes, well, actually, this one allows me to turn back time whenever I need to.
And
this
undo.
one allows me to stop every piece on your board except mine. And then this one is gonna release the dark one that I've been trying to revive this whole time, no matter what. So even if you manage to stop me by getting all of the pieces, it doesn't fucking matter, because I'm gonna win in the end. Which has me wondering, if he could have just released Zork the Dark One by just having this hourglass empty out, then why is he even going through the trouble of trying to get all the Millennium items away from the court of the Egyptian Pharaoh? Why not just let Zork get out and then attack him? Be like, hi, I revived Zork while you weren't looking.
I don't know,
get that
that's
you
not
wanna
nearly
fuck with
as
them
fun.
because they destroyed your village, but it seems kind of counterproductive because you just get fucked up a lot of the times in fights, except for when you turn back time. And then you got
Of course, not
Thanos.
exactly the smartest. Yeah.
Millennium Scale,
Oh, guys.
Millennium Rod, Millennium Ring, Millennium Puzzle, Millennium Eye.
Did you need to say Millennium for
Millennium
each?
Key, and thank goodness.
The Millennium
Oh,
Dildo. They finally managed to resurrect Zork.
Uh.
Oh. Horny on main, I see. In all seriousness,
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate how badly they censored Zork's design for the 4Kids version. I still think the manga design is way better than even the original
The manga
uncensored
went to-
version. But now that
goes
Zork's
into
resurrected, we
crazy
can just spend
detail.
the rest of the show just laughing at how bad some of the censorship shots get in this from here on out. The only real full duel to happen in the Pharaoh's memory
Is Bakura
part
versus
is a duel
Yugi.
between Yugi and the possessed body
Which
of
has
Kristen
a
by the
bunch
spirit
of
Yami Bakura,
bullshit.
or at least a part of it.
Let me
and he's
just
making
level
himself
monsters.
look like Yami Bakura. And boy,
All wrong.
is this fight fucking awful. I think what
Yeah.
gets me the most is how everybody around Yugi is just like, this is the hardest duel he's ever fought ever.
Because
What is
he's
he gonna
fighting by
do?"
himself.
Which for most of the time it feels like he's in the complete control of the duel and he's in the driver's seat and he has nothing to worry about. It's even more annoying when they keep cutting to this duel and interrupting shit like the giant kaiju battle between Exodia and Zork.
Yeah, just show me
which
that
was
shit.
The best thing
Yeah.
to happen in this show, period.
Exodia has
Nobody
instant
can
win,
convince me
I have
otherwise.
instant
Then it cuts to
kill.
the Pharaoh and Yami Bakura playing at the Dark RPG table, and Yami
There should
Bakura
be like a
goes,
hand-trapped
"Actually,
Zork
I've been Zork
necrophier
all
that's
along."
like
And everyone
counter
acts
Exodia's
surprised,
effects.
and I'm like, what? Well, why? This has been like kind of obvious from the beginning. So let's get this straight.
Yeah, it caught me
Yami
a bit off
Bakura
guard, to be
is
fair.
Actually, Zork
PatDragon.com.
trying to free himself or another version of him from the mind, which is part of Zork is past, which affects the future. Because that's just Zork, but also not Zork. It's up to the Pharaoh to
Oh,
defeat
God.
Zork, because he's the only one who can do it. So he comes down from the table to possess the him that's there, which is also him, because it's still the same person, and it's not like it's him from that time period. You're just
Yu-Gi-Oh!
watching
Don't
through
think
his
too
eyes.
hard about it.
Anyway, he then has a big battle with
Wow, that's
Zork,
really
and
on
they
point.
punch each other, and he summons the gods, and it's kind of
Shoot
cool.
at the
But then it
dildo.
has the
Oh,
worst
God.
censorship because you can't show a dragon mouth being gripped around a monster, apparently. I
Shit.
don't know why. So they just covered it blue, and it looks like fucking shit.
Looks like they
Like,
just
this is
literally the
laughably
oldest
bad.
fashioned
The game finally
censor
learns
in
the
the
Pharaoh's
world.
name, but they don't
Just
know how
blurring
to
it out.
read it or say it because in Egyptian.
It's in
so what they
Egyptian,
do is
yeah.
they think really, really hard until the name appears on the little necklace that Taya gave the Pharaoh at the beginning of the season. Zork proves to be too tough for the Egyptian gods.
This is
kicks
just to
everybody's
avoid
ass. So
frickin',
Atem goes, all right, I'm
copyrights.
gonna fuse all the gods now, and makes the creator of light. It kind of looks
Harakati.
like a combination of Noah's final boss Shinato
Huh.
from season 3 part 1 and Alexander's Lego Mecha from Capsule.
Oh, of all things
So
to
in
call
a single
out.
fart destroys Zork and the concept of darkness and the shadow games forever.
Oh,
Throughout
good, then we
all
don't need to worry
time
about
and
Season
space.
4 of
There
GX.
will not be another. You have conquered
I did like one line Yugi had. What do we do? What do we do now? I don't know. Just sit around and wait for the next
don't
bad
think too
guy.
hard about that one. So now all that's left for Atem is to do the ceremonial battle, where he needs to lose a duel in order for his soul to finally.
Oh,
go
and I
to
did that,
rest and
Raphael.
pass on.
Traps don't work on Obelisk. I'm not using it on him. I'm using it on the fields under him. But how?
Wait, so if you can't affect the monster, you're just gonna affect the ground?
Yep.
What? Are they just
Also,
throwing
he
out
was
the whole
jumping at the
God
time.
cards aren't affected by things? Because if the spell card can redirect Slifer's attack, doesn't that mean its effect is affecting his effect? And then
Look, Yugi's being
my
three
God.
gods at once. Shut up and enjoy the fireworks.
dumb shit aside surrounding the god cards, I did like this duel.
It is a
Not
good
for
final duel.
The duel itself per se, but there was a lot of nice interactions between the gang and Atem as they're coming to grips with the fact that they're not going to be able to see him anymore and he's going to pass on. The best line in my mind is definitely where Kaiba comes to the realization that Yugi
Maybe
is
this isn't all
actually
real.
the king of games. Like, it wasn't just Atem carrying him, even though it was, don't worry about that though, and recognizes him as an actual really good duelist, which they kind of backpedal with the movie, but
The
we'll
movie
talk
has a
about
lot of
that in that video.
backpedaling.
I know I really shouldn't be praising it, but I absolutely love how the second to last episode ends with, instead of to be continued, to be concluded. I love shit like that. The only thing that I like more is when an ending hard cuts to black and it's just silent credits rolling after something dramatic happens. Like the end of the first season for Aldino Zero, a show that I can't fucking stand and I hate, but when it hard cut to black and silence, that was a nice touch. I liked that. They got some points for that. I really think Teia's speech as Atem was leaving really took away some emotional impact from the scene because
it's
it's
Teiya?
just terrible.
It is a sad moment.
I also really don't like the ending to the show.
Wonder
It
where
just
that came
kind
from,
of
though.
abruptly ends
Stops.
on a joke, which feels kind of out of place.
At least make one of your little wrap-up speeches, Yug. Well, sometimes the end of one adventure is just the beginning of another. Much better.
I mean, it's better than the flashbacks like every other season has had
Yeah.
so far, but that still doesn't mean this is good.
Go on a happy note,
If
I
you made it
guess.
this far, I just want to say thank you for watching. This one's taken quite a while because I
Isn't
kept
that
putting
the
it on the
credits
back
scene?
burner because I just wasn't really satisfied with how the video came out. I'm still not really that satisfied. I think this is definitely the weakest one I'm releasing as is. Over time, I always grow to hate all of my videos. Just
Well,
because
that's just
I look
natural.
At them, I'm like, ooh, I could have done this
It
better.
changed over
or
time.
I could have explained myself better and framed things less poorly and maybe condense the video down better. It's crazy, honestly, the fact that I uploaded the first video as a joke for my friends to watch when I had no subs at all. Now, with Season 5 uploading, I just passed 70,000. It's crazy, honestly. I never
Congrats,
thought
though.
anything like this would come of making a dumb video about Season 1. That video is fucking terrible. Holy shit. I want to go back and redo those. I'm not going to, but it's always something to think about. Maybe in the
Zero,
future I
zero.
could expect to. For GX, which I'm going to do next
Ah,
after I
okay.
do the Dark Side of Dimensions movie, I'm going to
your
change the
time.
title from Everything Wrong With. It's going to stay pretty much the same format as
Same
it is
general
for this
idea.
video and the Capsule Monsters one. I just really don't like the Everything Wrong With title, and I want to move away from that. I hope you guys understand.
Makes
I haven't
sense.
decided on a title yet.
A
It's
pseudo
probably going to just be
reboot, in a
the
sense,
GX
like a remake.
retrospective or something like that, like looking back at Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. If you got a good title, leave it in the comments or message me on Twitter.
Here's
As
what's up.
always, thank you guys for
Ask for the
watching. and I
Embratis
hope to
band.
see
They
you
come
next
with
time
great
in
stuff.
GX.
Pathetic aesthetic, archetype archive. Yeah. Ain't done. It's just what the fuck?
GX video.
Oh,
It's the GX video. So it's the GX video.
hi, Hummingbird. I think that's supposed to be Neospace in your Hummingbird.
GX video.
God.
How about that GX video?
Thank you for censoring that.
How's the GX video coming along?
Fuck this bit. I don't want to do this anymore. Fuck that.
About the GX video?
Fuck you.
I'm sorry, we crossed the line when you show Neospace and Schlong. Working title. I'll be there for it. See ya.